Welcome to the Autospeed podcast, home of stock car and banger racing in the southwest.
Drivers, start your engines.
Love the vans.
On this week's show, we have two special guests. The first guest is Tyler Cock, one of the ever-increasing number of drivers moving across into the non-contact stock rod class. And after that, we'll be speaking with Stephen Gilbert, Brisker Formula 2 stock car star, who's built a brand new car this winter and gave it its first taste of the track at the weekend at the Open Track Day at St Day. Welcome, Tyler.
You alright?
Yeah, very good. So you've, over the years, you've raced an assortment of bangers, different types, different sizes, different versions. Not to mention a few goes in the vans, particularly plenty of fun last October in
Love the vans.
in the big van.
Yeah.
And but now for this season, looks like you're going to turn your attentions to the stock rods. So tell me a little bit about that. Why is that so?
Well, stock rods, as you know, bangers. I've always liked bangers, but stock rods, I think it's a lot cheaper now than bangers.
Mhm.
Because you ain't got to keep stripping, building, and do exactly the same. With stock rods, you paint it, then obviously you take your few spares with you, but you ain't got to constantly building, stripping all the time. So I think it's a lot cheaper than bangers now.
Okay, that's interesting.
Like you say, you don't have to keep painting, sign writing. You just keep the same car. Just change the tyres. That's literally it. So much cheaper.
Okay, that's interesting. I hadn't thought of it in that regard. I'd been wondering whether it was perhaps because of so many others in the family that are in the stock rods as well. You get a chance to race with them again.
Yeah, obviously Dad's getting a lot older now. He can't take the knocks as like he used to. So it'd be a good chance to have a proper race around with him.
Yeah.
Obviously, my cousin Daryl.
Yep.
He's dying off the bangers a bit because he prefers a stock rod. So we can all have like a family racing day out.
For sure, that's right. And then you've got Dan Curtis as well coming.
Yeah, he's a really good mate, Dan. Like obviously he's getting on the old now, so he's could jump on the stock rods. And you got Sean Gillett.
Yes. Yep.
He's obviously he likes a pretty car, so he likes a good race around. And you got James Bunton.
James Brenton. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it, James Brenton. Obviously, he's a good friend. So I think we're going to have a good day out on the stock rods. I think have a good race around.
For sure, yeah. I think that the numbers are coming on great. Last year with the World Championship, I think that gave it a boost.
Yeah.
And I think that now we're probably getting some kind of a second bounce from that with people that watched last year and thought, hey, this looks a bit more fun than I thought it was. When there's more cars on the track, it does look a bit more exciting. And a little bit more appealing. I think yesterday at the Open Track Day, there was yourself and a couple others who were going. That's three brand new drivers, three drivers that haven't raced stock rods before.
I think a load of like rookie boys have said, right, we'll try a different class. I think I've counted maybe like 15 rookie drivers. Obviously you had Luke Thomas.
Yeah.
Obviously Daryl, my dad, myself.
Yeah.
Obviously, loads of people from a rookie class has jumped into stock rods.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, it seems a lot cheaper now than bangers because you ain't got to spend all that money getting a car, building and stripping all the time.
Yeah, for sure. I think that it's it really is. It feels just on the edge of really exploding into something very, very exciting, and I think you're joining in with it at the right time. So the car you've got is the car that John Glover raced a little bit last year, not too much.
Yeah, I bought that in September time. I was like, right, think I'll put it in the shed, stripping it. But obviously I got a bit carried away with the bangers. I was in the van. Obviously, got to go big, haven't you, in the van? And it's just literally been in the shed. And then, was it Friday? I decided, right, let's give a stock rod a go.
Okay.
And then, I'm going to stick to it now, I think.
So what? So yesterday was with the Open Track Day, which is your first time of racing the thing. Was it? How did you find it? Was it faster than expected, or?
Yeah, definitely a lot faster. I had to put goggles on because I was going down the straight. I couldn't hardly see.
Oh wow, really?
But in a banger, I don't have to wear any of that.
Yeah.
But obviously, it's definitely a lot different because you've got lock diff Obviously, it took me 3 times to get from the pit gate onto the track.
Not much lock on it,
No.
no.
But yes, it's a huge difference from bangers.
Yeah.
And obviously, I do like a bit of speed as well on the track.
Yeah.
So I thought, yeah, give it a go.
Cool. Okay.
Obviously, yesterday was a massive learning curve from a banger
Yes.
to a stock rod.
And a good day yesterday because it was pleasant weather. A good day as well in terms of lots of other cars on the track,
Yeah.
lots of others to match yourself with. I'd imagine. I mean, tell me if I'm wide of the mark, but I would think you had some others on the track, known stars in the stock rods that you think, right, that's the line to follow, and you could learn a bit from them.
Yeah, my main people to watch out was for Simon Vincent and Callum Hosey because they're like the top boys from Cornwall. Obviously trying to follow their lines. Obviously you can't catch them that well because they're so used to it.
Yeah.
But hopefully get my car sorted properly, give it a few meetings and hopefully do a bit of travelling in it.
Okay, so the car. I mean, the car at the moment is still pink and black in John's colours. So I guess your next one of the next little projects for it will be to bring it into your colours, or
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, I'll start stripping it maybe next couple weekends, and then I'm going to paint it Dad's old Mark 1 Escort colours from like 30 odd years ago.
Okay.
And hopefully Dad will go same colour.
Uh-huh.
That was his original old rod colours.
Right.
So it'll make it look nice for him, I think.
That's good. That's good. There were a lot of pretty cars yesterday.
Yeah,
presentation was very good.
yeah, I think there's been a lot of effort put into the stock rods now.
Yeah.
Because obviously people don't like smashing them up, so thought why not spend a bit more money making it look nice, and obviously you don't have to trash it either.
And hope it stays that way. Yeah. For sure. So looking ahead to this season, I think the stock rods typically there'll be 6 meetings at Sunday, there'll be 6 meetings at Smeathart. You got the trip to Bristol. I guess that will be on your plans to do most of those.
Yeah, I hope to do most. I'll probably do most of them down St Day to get more track time because it's like 10 minutes away from home and also the yard.
Doorstep. Yep.
Then take a couple of trips to Taunton. Then I'll probably do the travelling a bit more next year.
Yeah, once you found your feet in it.
Found my feet, have a bit of track time. But obviously Daryl and Dad asked me to go to Skegness in May. I don't feel quite comfortable just yet. Because obviously, like you said, got to find my feet first.
For sure. I guess that's 50-50 because I think that racing on a different. I think Skegness is a generous circuit. Yeah. I think there's plenty of room. So even if you do feel a bit overawed, I think there's more difficult places to go than Skegness.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there'll be some really top-notch people from Scotland, top-notch drivers from the southwest, maybe some from Northern Ireland. So it should be a quality field. So yeah, a little bit to be learned, but also a little bit to maybe steer clear off for a moment until you find your feet. I understand. In terms of your support and the help that you have to go racing, whether it be the years you've done in the bangers and everything, you've got a few people that give you a bit of backing, I guess.
Yeah, I also got some top sponsors, PK Composites, obviously Vintech, DC Recoveries, ATF, Anton Ferris, and yes, very few.
So that's a bit of a rogues gallery of the local area there. Yeah. Some of the people you mentioned. Great stuff. It's always good. Well, that's great for giving us a little bit of an insight into one of the newcomers into the stock rods. We wish you very well for the season.
Thank you very much.
And hope you carry on enjoying it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on then from Tyler and from the stock rods, we're going to turn our attentions now to the Brisker Formula 2 stock cars and to Stephen Gilbert, former British champion in the Brisker Formula 2 stock cars, and at the weekend a brand new car came out of the 542 bus. Let's find out a little bit more about it. Welcome, Steve.
Hello, you all right?
Busy close season for you, building a new car.
Yeah, getting the car ready certainly took its time. From the first weekend in November, all the way through until Saturday night and Sunday morning of test day at the weekend.
So it was a bit up against it in the end to be ready in time for Sunday.
Yeah, we had a few disasters. Just silly little things like bleeding brakes and stuff like that. I mentioned to you on Sunday about you build the car up before you weigh it, before you paint it. Sorry.
Yep.
So that you know where your weights and stuff are. You strip it down. You got to put it back together, and for some reason, just things weren't going back together as it went the first time.
And one or two things change, and then that throws you out, and you got to start again. And
yeah, it's sort of like a knock-on domino effect. Once one thing's changed, there's so much more that it just knocks on and does. Yeah.
So building a new car is not going to be something for next winter again.
Not unless I win the world final, put it that way. If it wasn't for the help like Pat and Matt, the boys that come and help me, we wouldn't have made it there on Sunday.
So you must be taking your hat off to someone like, I don't know, someone like Luke Wrench is building car after car after car.
I don't know how he's got the patience to do it, to be honest with you. 3 times I think we gave up on Saturday night and thought, do you know what, this is just not worth it. And we got there in the end, but I don't know how he does it.
So in terms of the day at St Day, the open track day, was that of use?
Yeah, it was very useful for us. We weren't really worried about the speed side of it because of all the problems that we ran up against on Saturday night. We didn't get to sort of scale the car properly. We just went with what we had before.
Yeah.
In terms of just getting some running on the tyres, the new high fly tyres, that it was good for us because you know now for next week when we go to Taunton roughly what we want. So it's always good to get those laps in.
Okay. I was going to ask you about the tyres. So the tyres, Briscoe Formula 2 is going to change from the Yokohama tyre, which will run out in March. 1st of April, we'll move on to this new high fly tyre. So and you had a bit of a preview session on the 4 high flies at the weekend. How did you find them?
Yeah, they were good. It balanced the car up a lot more. Like to explain it in easier terms, the cars on the old tyres, then the ones that we're racing on currently, the car used to rotate a lot. But with these, you come into the corner and it's a lot more balanced. So the normal driver will find it a lot easier to drive, I think.
Okay, I think that having spoken to someone like Rob Speak, he said the same thing. This idea of balance in the car, because you've got 4 tyres which are 4 tyres the same, one in each corner, as opposed to 3 plus 1 which you're on at the moment, which is trying to make the car a bit more unstable.
Yeah, the balance of the car is the main thing really that you're looking forward to. As far as it goes, the 3 to the 1 was always a bit of a pain in the ass. You need wheels for specific sides. It's just, again, it's a knock-on effect. You have like tyres for certain sides. You can't wear the 3 out down far enough to get your money's worth, shall we say. You were looking at people like bolting on new inside backs all the time to try and get the stagger out of the tyres. So I think it will be better.
Yeah.
In the long run.
It's going to be a little bit painful to begin with for the switch over. I can understand that. But the fact that all 4 tyres are the same and you can do a bit of rotation around the car.
Yeah, you can. With the 4 the same, you can sort of start a new tyre on the inside front, move it to the outside front, and so on. And you eventually get to the outside rear where it will probably be absolutely knackered, but you'll get that last bit of use out of it.
It will be interesting, I think, over these first couple of months of using them to see whether the optimum tyre is a tyre that's got a little bit of tread, or whether you might even run them down to the canvas. No one really knows that until we've had a couple of months of racing. Yeah,
until you get more running time with them, I think. That as a whole, though, is more. It depends on the package of what car you drive, what driving styles come to. That's more preference to the driver than specific.
Yeah, I can understand that for sure. Without giving away too many trade secrets, then, do you envisage having to make many changes to the car itself in terms of going from being on the Yokohamas to going on to the high flies?
Again, it depends on what sort of cars people have to start with and what characteristics it's got at the time. If somebody's got a car that turns in good anyway, I don't think they'll have much to change. If they rely on loads of drive, they might have stuff to change. We've had certain things to do. I'm not going to say what they are.
No, of course not.
My advice would be, if people want to know what to do, they've got to go out and do the laps, haven't they?
Yeah, for sure. I think that I think I can see both sides of people choosing to race or not race during March. I can see people saying, well, I may as well just wait till April and then the rest of the season's the same. But I can also see that March is that last opportunity to use up any tyres that you have got before, I don't know, maybe selling them onto the stock rods, special rods and other classes. So I can see both sides, but it'll be interesting to see how many are actually going to be taking part during March, I think.
Yeah, I can't speak for anybody else, but as I said the other day, like my crew's philosophy is, if there's a meeting on, we've got to be there at the end of the day. So
yeah,
we'll be there, and that'll be it really.
And there's certainly no shortage coming up to this first weekend when you've got Kings Lynn qualifying round, which is as popular as ever with sort of 70 cars on the list. It's a fantastic start. That's
78 last night I counted. Yeah,
yeah,
we got
including yourself.
Busy night on Saturday night. Yeah.
And after, I don't really want to draw you back to such a disappointment, but the last time you were at Kings Lynn didn't quite go to plan. So hopefully a little bit better fortune on Saturday.
Yeah, with a bit of luck, we'll have a bit better luck at Kings Lynn. Luckily for us, we haven't got to get the car ready this time. It's an arrive and drive sort of car that I'm doing with Randall Motorsport.
Right. Yep.
I've got that car for Kings Lynn and then possibly for a few other fixtures as well.
Okay. For sure. I understand that. That's probably good planning there, really. Looking at the season ahead, as we say, it starts this weekend. You've got Kings Lynn, then you're coming back to Taunton on Sunday for more practice. Yeah,
we'll be at Taunton for more practice, and then plans are to do Mildenhall on the Saturday night next week.
Yes, that's
and
the 11th.
And then back to Taunton racing on the Sunday for. Is it Priddle's meeting on Sunday?
It is, yeah, the MDP Services Trophy. So Mike will be encouraging a few people to
we'll be
attend.
there. We'll be there for that, and then end of March, as I said to you the other day, it'll either be Ennisford or St Day. A lot of my boys don't really want to go to Ennisford, but
it's a qualifying round, so
it's
maybe
a qualifying
you need
round.
to. Yeah,
I'm making the effort to do the others, so we might have to do that one.
Okay, we'll come back to the World Championship in a moment because that's of extra interest this year. But going back to MDP Services, was that possibly your first final win?
No. My first final win was the Roger Wilcox Trophy.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, the one that I won but I didn't win because Bradbury won it but
got docked
2 places.
Mm-hmm. I was just thinking because it was early season, wasn't it? And
yeah, it was the year after, wasn't it? It was 2015.
All right, yes. Yeah, for sure. Okay. Right, so back to the World Championship, and this year the World Championship final for the first time is leaving mainland UK and is heading to Northern Ireland to Nuts Corner. Your thoughts on that? It's an interesting move.
It's an interesting move, and I think it's one that's probably good for the sport. At the end of the day, we call it a World Championship, but we only race in the World Finals. Only ever been held in Britain, so it's more of a British Championship, really, isn't it? Yeah,
I understand what you're saying. And Nuts Corner is have you raced Nuts Corner?
No, I've not raced Nuts Corner.
Not been yet.
Dad's been there, so hopefully I'll be able to tap into his brain a bit on what to do there. I think it'll be all right. You know, if you want to be a good driver, you've got to go everywhere, and that's what, it's a world final. Put the effort in and get yourself there. The Irish boys do it for us. So
yes, I think that the Northern Irish drivers have been fantastic in their support of the world final. It doesn't matter whether it's all the way down with us at Taunton or even on the shale tracks, and they arranged borrowing cars and different pieces. They never really let the thing down. So yeah, I can see why it's got this opportunity to go to Nuts Corner. Having watched at Nuts Corner myself as well, I think that with a quality entry for the World Final, I would expect this to be a wonderful race.
Yeah, I think it'll be very good. I think even the last chance qualifier on the Saturday night, it'll be good. It'll build up a fair bit more atmosphere for the race, the main race.
Yep.
But the last chance qualifier, I think you may end up with a lot less cars than what people will expect. It'll more than likely be more of an all-comers, if you understand what I mean.
Yes, yeah.
It'll be whoever turns up will end up on the grid.
There will be an element to that for sure. I think the drivers that will qualify for the semi-final day, there'll be several that will make their decision whether to go after they've done the semi-final.
Yeah, I think there'll be a lot of last-minute booking, which means a lot more cost for those drivers. But
yeah, it's difficult in that respect.
myself and Dad have spoke about it before, and I think we're going sort of regardless.
Regardless, yeah.
If I'm putting the effort in the rest of the year, I might as well. You know, if I crash in the semi-final or whatever, then so be it. We'll still go over and try and support it.
But with it being Bristol semi-finals, then obviously that falls nicely onto your player, being one of your favourite tracks, I'd imagine.
Yeah, like obviously current track champion around there, but it sort of doesn't mean anything on them days.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big leveler when you've got like a lot of good names around you, in front of you. You're not sort of. I'm very good at being consistent,
Mm-hmm.
but the one-off races is sort of like it comes down to pace and luck at the end of the day, which I haven't got a lot of, to be honest with you. I'm very consistent through the year, but when it comes to big races, my luck just seems to go. So it'll be what it'll be.
Uh-huh.
But we'll be doing our best to try and give myself the best opportunity going forwards.
Okay. Returning back to this new car, I think there's a new car for James Ryger, new car for Aaron Veit, who, although he doesn't live in the southwest, we see enough of him that he feels like he lives here. New car on the horizon for John Palmer, and a new car as well for the master of the Mendits, Paul Moss. I think this is exciting times really in the southwest. Always when you want a little influx of new drivers, and you also want an influx of new cars, and I think that will sort of shake things up, and that will be extra interest.
Yeah, we're always very spoilt down here for the racing that we get. We've got a lot of good drivers that are probably undergraded, like you mentioned Paul. When he's off a yellow, he's very hard to catch.
Mm-hmm.
Paul Rice, when he's down off a blue, is very hard to catch. You know, we've got Ben's very good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's fairly uncatchable when he's running off a blue, and
Yep.
he's very good when he's off a red. There's a lot of drivers across grades in the southwest that are probably undergraded, but only because of the meetings that we don't get.
Yes, yeah, I appreciate. There's obviously racing at Cowdenbeath most weeks. A lot of racing throughout the country. A lot of shale racing. The shale scene includes sort of like three groups. You've got the group that does nearly every meeting. You've got the group that does the southern sort of eastern meetings, then the group that does the northern meetings. So shale track numbers always holds up, but you can do a really big season if you do most of the shale tracks.
Yeah. The going back to it, the racing down here is always, you never know who's going to win because of, like I said, the grades. There's like you say, like you mentioned myself, Ryger, John, Aaron, Tommy.
Yes.
Stoneman.
Mm-hmm.
You can name, like, all of those guys are capable of winning, but you've then got to go through all the good names that are in front of you
That are possibly blue and yellow, yeah.
that are fast, and they are just as fast as we are. So I always find it funny when you look at like the pounds stacked up that you see on Facebook that Parky does and that, and they never get it right every time, if you know what I mean. So it's good to see. You go out of country, you can sort of, I'm not running it down, but you can sort of half predict who's going to win. Like, you want to say, I'm not going to say names, but you're going to say RCE first, RCE second, RCE third.
Yeah.
Down here you've got WRC first, Motor World second, KMR third. So it's a lot more unpredictable.
There's more variety.
It's very good.
I think as well, you touched on that about the infield betting and the bit of fun that the guys have there ahead of Formula 2 finals at our meetings. I think I recall back to when Gordon Randall from Randall Motorsport, the first time that he came to St Day, and I remember saying to him, if there's 25 drivers here today, there's 10, 12, half of these could win the final. And I remember Gordon sort of looking at me and saying, really? And I said, well, I'll have a bet with you, but I don't know who to choose. It's really competitive and really wide open. That was a few years ago, and I think that maintains still the same today.
Yeah, that sort of touches on what I was listening to, what you and Adam Pearce were saying on the podcast a few days ago, and it sort of touches on to the fact of, like, a lot of the lower graders now do have the same equipment. Like, you can go out and you can buy a car that's pretty much, apart from a few certain things, that's exactly the same as mine.
Yes.
You can go out and you can buy it. It's readily available for you.
Yeah.
And you can go just as quick as me.
That was the point that Adam and I were saying, that if this, and this is going to look great on the podcast, I'm waving my arms around, but this distance between the worst car and the best car, it's shrunk because the worst cars have improved immeasurably, and the best cars have increased a little bit, but the gap between the two has shrunk.
Yeah, it's changed the style of racing though with how stock cars work. Really, I think like back when Dad especially used to race, like the gap was a lot bigger, but they still had 7 or 8 very good drivers, and it was the buzz around that was almost better than what it is now, because the racing, you sort of knew who was going to win, but there was always good battles and there's so much more unpredictability. Whereas the cars now, they handle so good that it's very much a racing formula now compared to what it used to be.
Yeah, that's right. The cars are so stable and stick to the track like glue for sure. So, yeah, I'm with you on that. I think going back to, you know, as you say, with your father's times and everything, the people that he raced with, although that select group, that elite group, were often the winners, there was always this backstory and some narrative amongst them themselves, you know, which made those days so wonderful.
Yeah, I think like when you look back and I watch quite a lot of old videos and that, and it's meant like you can see why there was loads and loads of crowd there at them times, because it was very, very good to watch.
Well, with all these new cars and you know, a sprinkling of drivers and hopefully another season of good numbers in the area, hopefully the interest will be maintained. So yeah, I can't see. There's no reason why it won't be with all the names that are coming. Okay. One thing we hadn't touched on, and this occurred to me when we were there last year, was the meeting at Aldershot, the British Championship. And you mentioned there about Leah. To me, on that day, I seemed to see a lot of drivers who are very, very slight, very, very, you know, real lightweight drivers. They seem to be going really fast at Aldershot. I don't know whether that was just how things were, but I don't know. Harley Thacker, another person, Harley Burns. I mean, all of them weigh about 6 stone if they're carrying someone shopping, don't they?
Yeah, wet through Stoneman.
Yeah.
Stoneman is another prime example. He don't weigh very much, does he? No, Aldershot was good. I thought I'd like to see more meetings there, to be honest with you. I think they always get good car numbers, I reckon. Looking forward to going back. We'll be there for the is it F2 Nationals?
F2 Challenge. Yeah, for sure. And I think that I think that was a good day for Formula 2. I think the guys at Aldershot were pleased with the day. There was really good numbers. It was the British Championship, and I remember looking around it. I don't know if you recall it. You did two rolling laps before that race started, and I remember not looking at the track, but just looking around and thinking, this is the last race of the day. The local people have had the National Hot Rod final, the Saloon Stock Car final, and so few people left. Everyone was there for that British Championship. Okay, in the end, it didn't turn out to be the greatest of races, but at the same time, all those people stayed, and I think I was stood with Alan Parkinson. I said, look at the people. People have stayed for this race, and that was great.
I think everybody was expecting a big sort of first couple of corners, but obviously I was starting row 3 or row 4 inside, and I got spun coming out the exit of the first. I didn't even make the green flag, and I think that killed the first lap crash, if that makes sense, because I'd already crashed before we even got to the green flag.
You might have had an involvement up the other end.
Yeah, I think that was the plan anyway, but I got took out before I could do some shoving. So, you know, as I said about the King's Lynn thing, it happens. You just got to
Yeah, that's right. You can't
roll it off the shoulders and move on.
Sure. You mentioned Crispen. I don't think you or I are going there any day.
I'll be going there this year.
You are, yeah?
Yeah.
Wow.
That is the plan at the moment. Funding potentially.
Okay, that is going to be some tremendous trek. If I think back to semi-final day at St Day, when was it 419 Ryan Farquhar had come all that way and everything. That was fantastic. But that is some journey when we're here in Cornwall and Crispen's, you know, north of Aberdeen. It's
yeah, we were talking about it the other day, and it's like one of the lads has never been there. He's been to Cowdenbeath, and it's like he's only just up the road from there. And I'm like, oh yeah, so it's only like 5 minutes up the road. So I think he's going to be in for a bit of a shock once we get to Cowdenbeath, and we've still got 3 hours to go.
That's right. Although I think from my Scottish contacts, I think they tell me that the road around Aberdeen is improved.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, so it's possibly 2 3/4 now.
Yeah, I was going to say
saved all of 15 minutes.
Yeah, that'll do then.
For sure. Well, thanks for chatting to us, Steve. We wish you well on your travels. You're going to get a little bit fed up with the A14, I'd imagine, in the next couple of weekends. But if that ends up with bringing you a good grid position for semi-final day at Bristol, then it'll all be worth it.
Hopefully we can do the Southwest proud.
For sure. Thanks, Steve.
Cheers.
Thanks then to both of our guests on this week's show. Looking ahead, there is the Open Track Day at Smeathart this coming weekend. And then 1 week later, on Sunday the 12th of March, it'll be the first race action of the year at Smeathart Stadium. 2-litre National Bangers will be present for the PRI World Championship wildcard. We've got Brisker Formula 2 stock cars in their first Southwest meeting of the season, and also saloon stock cars as they set out on the road for gold. It's their first meeting which will lead towards the World Championship for them at Smeathart later in the season. Completing the lineup will be the stock rods, loads and loads of them expected in the non-contact class. But for now, thanks for listening to this week's episode, and we'll catch you again next week.
If you've enjoyed Autospeed Podcast, home of stock car and banger racing in the Southwest, don't forget to give us a like and subscribe and hit that notification bell for future podcasts.